Who's the next best player you've ever seen to MJ?
Well, the one that I've seen play the game, who I think would probably give a player like Michael Jordan the most problems, right? There's been a couple players. Hakeem Olajuwon and what he was able to do was the first player that I saw physically and athletically that could match his physical tenacity and what he brought to the game. But the player to me that I find most interesting, and I know, look, LeBron James is a marvelous player. He's a phenomenal player. And you got to physically, LeBron is LeBron. He's a unique athlete. But the player if in my mind, that if I ever was to say, will give us the most problems or give him the most problems would be Tim Duncan. Just because of the versatility of Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan was a marvelous player. He played the game from the 4 or the 5 position, and he was one of the unique players like a Michael Jordan who could get to spaces on the floor that you couldn't do anything about. So technically speaking, Tim Duncan to me is a player that really is just probably as unique of a talent that I've seen in the NBA. And if you're going to have a player that's going to be able to counter a talent like a Michael Jordan, who was like almost flawless technically in his game, Tim Duncan could do that because he could do things not only offensively, but defensively, he could control the game. And I thought that was very unique.
I'll throw this, before I ask my question, I'll throw in this little other nugget about Tim Duncan. The fact is, Tim Duncan didn't give you, somebody like a Michael Jordan, any kind of motivation. He talked no trash. He didn't retaliate. All he did was play the game and was incredibly likable. And if you're Jordan looking for every excuse under the sun to find an enemy to hate, Tim Duncan gave you absolutely nothing to hate about him because he just went and played and that was that. But let me ask you this question. When I watch Michael Jordan, particularly the conversations that I've had with him and what have you, here's where I'm asking you this. Phil Jackson, it is rare that we've seen a player say, I'm not playing for another coach. He goes, I go. That's the mentality that Michael Jordan had of Phil Jackson. A, was Phil Jackson worthy of that level of commitment from Michael Jordan? And B, why do you think Michael Jordan gave it to him?
Well, to answer your question, yes, he was worthy of that. Phil Jackson understood people. And, you can talk about X's and O's, you talk about defense, offense, and all of those things that come with being a great coach. And yes, he was that. But Phil Jackson understood people, and in particular, he understood Michael Jordan. He understood the needs. He understood what it took to coach a player like a Michael Jordan. And more importantly, Michael Jordan had his trust in knowing that he was always going to make sure that he placed Michael Jordan in a position to win. So when it came to preparation for the game and what Michael Jordan was all about, Phil Jackson was the perfect complement to him. And I just think they worked together. And Phil went on to do that not only in Chicago, but he did it in LA as well. And he had a phenomenal understanding of people and people who were driven. I don't know if Phil was a phenomenal motivator, but certainly Phil knew how to coach and win with talented players, and he did that over and over again. And I think Michael acknowledged that, understood that, respected that, and I think that was the most comfortable thing for him.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.